Imagine walking up to a vending machine, but instead of choosing a snack, you're initiating a complex financial agreement. You insert your coins, make your selection, and the machine whirs to life, automatically executing your order without needing a store clerk to oversee the transaction. This is the essence of a smart contract: self-executing agreements that automate processes and eliminate the need for intermediaries. Just like that vending machine, which guarantees the delivery of your chips once the payment is made, smart contracts function on the blockchain, a decentralized digital ledger that ensures transparency and security. But what does this really mean for our financial systems? At their core, smart contracts are lines of code that dictate the terms of an agreement between parties. They are triggered automatically when predefined conditions are met, removing the ambiguity and potential for dispute that often accompanies traditional contracts. Imagine a real estate deal where funds are only released to the seller when the ownership title is successfully transferred. No lawyers, no banks, just a seamless transaction executed by the code itself. This kind of automation can lead to increased efficiency, reduced costs, and enhanced trust among parties involved. However, as we delve deeper into this world, we must ask ourselves, what are the implications of such automation? The strange consequence is that while smart contracts can streamline processes, they also raise questions about governance and accountability. If a contract is self-executing, who oversees its fairness? What happens if the code contains biases or errors? Suppose we find ourselves in a situation where a smart contract enforces an agreement that, while legally binding, is ethically questionable. As we explore the intersection of technology and governance, we begin to see that these digital agreements are not just tools for efficiency, but also catalysts for broader societal change. They challenge us to reconsider how we engage with our financial systems and ultimately with one another. What would a world governed by smart contracts look like? Would it empower individuals or entrench power structures? The answers lie in the choices we make as we navigate this new landscape. What if a financial platform could operate entirely on community consensus? Imagine a world where every decision regarding financial transactions, governance, and resource allocation is made not by a centralized authority, but by the community itself. This is not a distant utopia. It's the reality of decentralized finance, or DeFi, where smart contracts are the backbone of innovative projects like MakerDAO. In MakerDAO, users collectively govern the platform through a token-based voting system, where each token represents a voice in the decision-making process. This community-driven governance model embodies the potential of smart contracts to facilitate democratic decision-making, allowing participants to shape the rules that govern their financial interactions without the interference of third parties. Consider how this contrasts with traditional financial systems, where decisions are made by a select few in boardrooms, often detached from the very people affected by those choices. In DeFi, every stakeholder has a stake, not just in the financial sense, but in the governance of the system itself. This raises intriguing questions about accountability and inclusivity. If everyone has a say, how do we ensure that minority voices are heard? What happens when consensus is difficult to achieve and factions emerge? The strange consequence is that while smart contracts can automate and streamline processes, they also expose the complexities of human governance. Imagine a situation where a proposal to change the collateral requirements for loans is put to a vote. If the majority favors a change that benefits them, perhaps lowering the requirements for themselves, but it puts the system at risk, what happens? The integrity of the platform rests not just on the technology, but on the collective wisdom of its users. This dynamic illustrates the broader tension between individual interests and collective responsibility, a theme that resonates deeply in the context of both DeFi and traditional governance. As we examine MakerDAO, we see a vivid example of how smart contracts can embody political frameworks. The platform's governance token allows users to vote on critical issues from risk parameters to protocol upgrades, creating a living experiment in decentralized governance. But this raises further questions. How do we ensure that governance remains equitable? Can smart contracts adapt to the nuanced needs of a diverse community, or will they inadvertently favor those with more resources or knowledge? The implications are profound. If we can harness the power of community consensus through smart contracts, we might redefine not just financial systems, but the very essence of governance itself. What if we could create a financial ecosystem that is both efficient and fair, where decisions are made transparently and inclusively. The vision of a DeFi future is tantalizing, yet it challenges us to reckon with the responsibilities that come with such power. As we continue exploring these themes, let us ponder, how can we balance these competing values in a world increasingly shaped by technology and collective will? What if a smart contract could enforce laws without human oversight? Would that be freedom or tyranny? Imagine a world where the rules governing society are encoded in lines of computer code, executed automatically, without the need for bureaucrats or politicians to interpret or enforce them. Now, let's delve into the implications of embedding various political systems within these smart contracts. How might we envision a democratic framework where decisions are made collectively, contrasting sharply with an authoritarian model where power is centralized and control is absolute? In a democratic smart contract, every participant could have a voice, contributing to a shared pool of decisions. Imagine a voting mechanism where community members propose changes to the contract's terms, and each vote is tallied through an immutable ledger, ensuring transparency and fairness. The beauty of such a system lies in its potential to reflect the collective will of the people, allowing for nuanced governance that adapts to the needs of its constituents. But pause for a moment. Would this truly embody freedom, or could it lead to a tyranny of the majority? If the majority decides to impose restrictions on the minority, we might find ourselves in a paradox where the pursuit of collective good undermines individual rights. Now let's shift our focus to the authoritarian model. Picture a smart contract designed to enforce stringent regulations, with power concentrated in the hands of a few. Here the contract might dictate behaviors, monitor compliance, and penalize deviations, all without room for dialogue or dissent. The strange consequence is that while efficiency might increase, individual autonomy significantly diminishes. Citizens could find themselves living under a digital regime where every action is surveilled and every choice is dictated by an algorithm, leaving no room for personal expression or dissent. As we explore these contrasting political integrations, we must consider the implications for our societal fabric. Would the democratic model foster a sense of community and engagement, encouraging people to participate actively in governance? Or could it devolve into chaos, where conflicting interests paralyze decision-making? Conversely, would the authoritarian model, while efficient, strip away the very freedoms we cherish, leaving us at the mercy of a rigid system? Therein lies the tension between individual autonomy and collective responsibility. As we envision these scenarios, we must ask ourselves, who benefits from these integrations? Who stands to lose? The answers may not be straightforward. The challenge is to balance the efficiency of automated governance with the essential need for human oversight and compassion. As we delve deeper into these thought experiments, we must keep returning to the core question. What if a smart contract could enforce laws without human oversight? What happens when we embed political structures into smart contracts? And how do these frameworks influence the delicate interplay between individual rights and collective governance? Imagine a future where decisions impacting your daily life are made not by elected officials, but by a set of lines of code executing on a blockchain. In this world, smart contracts govern everything from tax collection to welfare distribution. Yet what would happen if these automated systems inadvertently entrenched existing inequalities? This is a pressing concern as we consider the integration of political systems into smart contracts. While the promise of efficiency and transparency is alluring, we must ask ourselves, could we be sacrificing the very human nuances that ensure fairness? Automated governance may overlook the complexities of human experiences, rendering decisions that fail to account for individual circumstances. For instance, suppose a smart contract is designed to allocate social benefits based on a simple algorithm that assesses income levels. If an individual's situation changes, perhaps they lose their job or face a medical emergency, the rigid structure of the smart contract may not adapt to their new reality. The strange consequence is that someone in dire need could be left without support simply because the code failed to recognize their humanity. This brings us to another critical point: bias in algorithms. Just as human decision-makers can harbor prejudices, so too can the algorithms that guide these smart contracts. If the data used to train these systems reflect societal biases, then the outcomes will perpetuate those inequalities. Imagine a community where a smart contract determines resource allocation based on historical data that favors one group over another. The result? A deepening of existing divides, with marginalized communities receiving even less than before. This raises an uncomfortable question. By entrusting governance to automated systems, are we inadvertently endorsing a status quo that favors the privileged? As we proceed to explore the potential implications of smart contract governance, we must grapple with the reality that automation, while powerful, is not inherently just. What trade-offs emerge when we prioritize efficiency over empathy? The challenge lies in ensuring that these systems are designed with an awareness of their potential pitfalls. In a landscape where every decision is executed without human oversight, how do we safeguard against the unintended consequences of automation? The answers may lie in the very frameworks we choose to embed within these smart contracts, reminding us that technology alone cannot replace the need for compassion and understanding in governance. As we navigate this intricate terrain, we must remain vigilant, questioning who benefits from these automated decisions and who may be left behind. The integration of political systems into smart contracts invites us to redefine our understanding of fairness. Will we create a more equitable future, or will we find ourselves in a dystopian loop of inequality? Imagine a world where every financial transaction, every loan agreement, and every investment is governed not by human intermediaries, but by smart contracts, self-executing agreements coded into the very fabric of our digital landscape. What if these contracts could ensure that every person has equitable access to financial resources? Envision a society where the barriers that once hampered the less privileged are dismantled by the sheer efficiency of code. In this utopian vision, financial systems operate transparently, and the rules are laid bare for all to see. Everyone, regardless of their background, could engage with the system on equal footing, participating in a new economy that rewards collaboration and collective decision-making. The strange consequences of society transformed. Imagine communities pooling their resources through decentralized finance platforms, where every decision is made through consensus, not coercion. This would not just be a financial revolution, it would reshape social contracts, fostering a culture of mutual support and empowerment. Yet what if this same technology, this promise of efficiency, veers into a dystopian reality? Suppose these smart contracts become tools of surveillance and control rather than liberation. What happens when the very algorithms designed to democratize financial access become the backbone of an oppressive regime? In this scenario, the lines of code, once symbols of freedom, morph into instruments of exclusion, where access to resources is dictated by credit scores or social behavior tracked by relentless algorithms. Picture a world where financial transactions are scrutinized and regulated to the point that individual freedoms are sacrificed for the sake of security and compliance. The chilling consequence is a society where the personal choices of individuals are monitored and manipulated, reducing the richness of human experience to mere data points. The tension between these two futures raises profound questions. How do we safeguard against the potential pitfalls of technology even as we embrace its promise? Imagine being part of a collective that must navigate these complexities, where every member's voice matters in shaping the rules that govern their financial interactions. The challenge lies in ensuring that the governance structures embedded in smart contracts reflect the values of fairness and inclusivity, rather than reinforcing existing hierarchies. What if we design these smart contracts with built-in mechanisms for accountability and feedback? Could we create a system where individuals not only have a stake in the financial outcomes, but also in the governance of the technology itself? As we ponder these possibilities, we must recognize the dual-edged nature of smart contracts. They have the potential to elevate society into a new era of equity and transparency. Yet they also harbor the risk of entrenching inequities and stifling freedoms. So let us ask ourselves, what safeguards can we implement to ensure this technology serves the many rather than the few? How can we encourage an ethical framework around the design and execution of smart contracts so that they empower rather than control? These questions are not merely academic, they bear directly on the kind of society we want to build in the face of rapid technological advancement. The future of our financial systems may very well depend on how we navigate this intricate balance between harnessing the power of smart contracts and protecting the rights of individuals within the collective. As we continue this exploration, let us remain vigilant and imaginative, seeking a path that leans towards a future where technology enhances human potential rather than diminishes it.